Jacksonville. He's Hacker.
Talk about a fried egg. I lasted about 5 minutes out there. I said, to heck with this. I'll do this in the morning. And I don't have any inside information. The lady that did it, she got in there. She made it happen.
And he doesn't shy away from opinion.
And I do enjoy drinking cold beer at ballparks. So if that makes me a baseball fan, then I'm a diehard baseball fan.
It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Wednesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL, 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you are with us. A new NFL league calendar is upon us, a new NFL league year. 66 days after the regular season ended and 31 days after Philadelphia hoisted the Lombardi Trophy. This afternoon at 4 o'clock, everybody in the NFL officially turned the page to 2025. All the agreed-to terms became official. All the trades became official. And the 9 guys that were brought in Monday by the Jaguars are now officially members of the organization. In fact, we're going to hear from some of those guys tomorrow. The Jaguars have scheduled an 11:30 press conference at the Miller Electric Center to hear from some of the new free agents. And, in fact, General Manager James Gladstone will be talking tomorrow at 2:30. So that should be pretty interesting to hear from the GM and some of the former players. Also, speaking of the players starts tomorrow morning at 7:30, 7:40 roughly out at Sawgrass. Scotty Scheffler, the back-to-back champion, tees off, I believe, tomorrow afternoon with Rory McIlroy. That'll be quite the pairing to follow tomorrow afternoon. But the players tomorrow at Sawgrass. So we're going to hear from the Jaguar general manager and the first round of the players. Oh, by the way, conference tournaments in college basketball going on all over the country. And Selection Sunday is coming up this weekend. So it is an incredibly busy time in the world of sports. We are certainly glad you are spending part of your Wednesday evening with us. I'll get to the guest lineup in a moment. It's a good one tonight. But I'd like to share this with you because I was sitting this morning in my car watching this happen in front of me, and I thought, wow, this is the first time in 41 years on planet Earth that I've ever seen such a thing. And I don't know if it's just a rare occurrence. Maybe it's more frequent than I can imagine. So in the mornings, I take Forrest to school over on Greenland Road. And for any of you that live in the South Side area or the Mandarin area, you know how active that railroad is near Phillips Highway. Very, very active, which I have found out certainly this school year. So we're heading down Sunbeam, making a right onto Phillips, but before we get there, we get caught by a train. And Denmark, stay with me here. The train is going, if I'm staring at Phillips Highway from Sunbeam, the train is going from my right to my left, towards downtown. All right, got caught by a train, no problem. Wait a couple of minutes, train ends, traffic's backed up, no big deal. Pull out a right onto Phillips Highway, head down past Southside, make a right onto Greenland, where I will then have to go over these same railroad tracks. This is probably 10 minutes later. And sure enough, 10 minutes later on these same railroad tracks, I get caught by another train heading to downtown Jacksonville that was no more than 10 minutes apart from said previous train that stopped me on Sunbeam. Now, my question is, that can't happen that often, right? I mean, that is wild to get caught on 2 different roads within a 10-minute span on the same railroad track by 2 trains going the same exact direction. I don't know what that means, if anything. Maybe I'm just easily impressed. That could also be the case. My life can be relatively shallow at times, I suppose, and things like this excite me. But I just was like, wow, I've never been caught at the same railroad track, 2 different roads, 10 minutes apart by 2 different trains. That is how my Wednesday started. Denmark, your thoughts. How do you feel about the story I just shared?
I live by a train on Roosevelt, and there's a train. I'm stopped by one almost twice a week at Baldwin. So
wow, man,
that's you saying that is like you using the bathroom.
Interesting.
It's about
Well, I'll tell you this: that railroad track next to Phillips Highway, that is an active beast. There is absolutely no question about that. So there's the life of Hacker on my way to take Forrest to school this morning. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Every night here on Hacker After Dark, we do kick it off with a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No, because it is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
A lot of big deals tonight. Guest lineup looks like this. Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites on social media. You know him. You love him. He joins us in 15 minutes, a little less than 15 minutes. Also, 40 years of covering the players. My buddy Gary Smitter of the Times-Union later on in the 9 o'clock hour. We'll also do a little SEC tourney, Gator Hoops talk with Graham Hall of 24/7 Sports coming up also in the 9 o'clock hour. But let's begin with the Jaguars. In the league calendar year, officially starting at 4 o'clock Eastern earlier this afternoon. We'll get to the 9 guys that are now officially members of this team in a moment. But I guess once again, we're kind of on Cooper Kupp watch, right? Is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? Everybody's got an opinion on it. Cooper Kupp, released earlier today by the Los Angeles Rams, is now a free agent. No one traded for Cooper Kupp because nobody wanted to take on that salary, that $20 million salary. But now that he's been released, you won't have to take on that $20 million salary. And there will apparently be a lot of suitors for Cooper Kupp. Now, Cooper Kupp is a fantastic football player, all right? Absolutely terrific. I mean, you look at this guy's numbers, this guy's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. He's got an argument, depending on what he does towards the tail end of his career. The man has caught 634 passes, including 145 catches in 2021. 145 catches. Good grief. He hasn't had fewer than 59 catches since 2018, and that includes some injury-plagued seasons. He played 9 games in 2022 where he caught 75 balls, played 12 games in 2023 where he caught 59 balls, and he played, 11 games in 2024 where he caught 67 passes. So the guy catches balls. There's no doubt about that, despite some injury problems that have occurred. Here is my thought on Cooper Kupp when it comes to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Because I know a lot of you want it to happen. Some of you expect it to happen. Would it surprise me if it happened? No, because what really surprises us anymore, right? It would take a lot at this point in the NFL world to surprise you. But the Los Angeles Rams, Cooper Kupp sent out a tweet around the Super Bowl, knowing he was not going to be back with the Rams organization, knowing they were going to seek a trade for him. Ultimately, that didn't work out. They released him earlier today. So Kupp knew that he was going to be gone from that organization for basically the last month plus. Well, obviously, he was given word of that from the people in L.A. with that organization, right, that he was not going to be needed there. And I don't know how much of a salary cap move it is because they just spent a lot of money on Davante Adams. They're choosing Davante Adams over Cooper Kupp. So obviously they've seen Cooper Kupp up close and personal. Even though he's performed very well for them, even recently, they've made the decision to go elsewhere. Les Snead and the management group out in L.A. No one knows Cooper Kupp better than that organization. Let me ask you something. Where did James Gladstone just come from? He just came from the Los Angeles Rams. And people say, well, Hacker, of course. That's the relationship. Gladstone has already a previous relationship with Cooper Kupp. Yeah, that's one way to look at it, sure. Another way to look at it is James Gladstone, up until the last 3 weeks, was in those Rams personnel meetings with Les Snead. was in those Rams personnel meetings discussing their future, and was in those Rams personnel meetings where they, I'm sure, said at the time that Cooper Kupp was not in their future plans. Look, would Cooper Kupp help the Jacksonville Jaguars? Yeah, he probably would. If the price is right, I would certainly think about it. But if everybody here in Jacksonville, you, me, Liam Cohen, Tony Baselli, the coaching staff, every player, of anybody here in Jacksonville, you know who knows more about Cooper Kupp than anybody as it stands right now? Your general manager, James Gladstone. So if they don't bring Cooper Kupp in, if they don't try to bring Cooper Kupp in, I would not be angry about that. Because, again, Gladstone knows more than you and I about the situation with Cooper Kupp. If they try to bring him in, you could have the exact opposite argument. Then there might be something there. But you talk about trusting your new general manager, trust me on this one. If there's anything left in the tank of Cooper Kupp, and James Gladstone feels he can help the Jacksonville Jaguars, they will call him to gauge his interest. If James Gladstone believes Kupp is done, just like apparently the Rams believe Kupp is done, then they're not going to pursue it. So whatever happens, whether they bring him in, whether they don't bring him in, trust in James Gladstone on this one, because he has more information on Cooper Kupp than anybody in Jacksonville. So I'll put my trust in the brand new Jaguar general manager completely and totally on whatever decision is made here regarding Cooper Kupp. 9 new Jaguars are now official. The 9 free agents they brought in. You know, I was thinking about this on the drive in as well. And we'll do more of this probably tomorrow night. If you were to rate from 1 to 9, right? 1 being the most important to 9 being the least important of the 9 guys that they brought in on Monday, what would that look like? You know, to me, I would think numbers 1 and 2 would probably be Robert Hainsey and Patrick McCarry in whatever order you want to put them in. Because what has the talk been here since Gladstone and Cohen arrived? Protect Trevor Lawrence at all cost. And they went out and they got Robert Hainsey. They went out and they got Patrick McCarry. Both guys are likely to be starters at center and at right guard. So if you were to assess the importance of all 9 guys, the new 9, if you will, here in Jacksonville, Hainsey I'm probably going to put number 1 because he's the center. McCarry I'll probably put number 2. After that, I think it's probably close between Eric Murray and De'Ami Brown. In fact, it might be a tie for third between your new starting safety and a wide receiver you're giving $10 million to that needs to really step up on a 1-year deal. So give me Hainsey 1, McCarry 2. It's probably a tie at 3 with Eric Murray and De'Ami Brown. Then at number 5, I think that's where you fit in Jordan Lewis. I think he is important as a nickel corner, but you already have Tyson Campbell back there. You got Jarian Jones back there. Nickel corner is important, just not as important to me as the other guys. And then, you know, you look at the bottom 3 or 4 guys that they brought in. Chuma Idogba is going to be your swing tackle, right? Not necessarily going to start. Well, I keep hearing positive things about Hunter Long, though. The tight end they brought in from the Rams. I had somebody tell me today they think Hunter Long's better than Luke Farrell. And you look at what the Jaguars are paying Hunter Long compared to what the 49ers just gave Luke Farrell. Nicholas Munn, the other tight end, and then Nick Mullins, who really knows. But, again, to me, Hainsey, McCarry are your top 2 guys of most importance that the Jaguars brought in. I think you have a tie at 3 with Eric Murray and De'Ami Brown. Give me Jordan Lewis then at 5. Give me Chuma Edoba at 6. And then I'll take Long 7, Munn 8, Nick Mullins 9. They're all official. They're all signed, sealed, and delivered. and some of them will be talking to you, as there will be a press conference tomorrow at the Miller Electric Center to welcome in some of these new Jacksonville Jaguars, and General Manager James Gladstone will also be meeting with us tomorrow at 2:30, again, at the Miller Electric Center. So much more on the Jaguars as the night goes on here on Hacker After Dark, including right now with Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites on social media. Chad is a guy that speaks his mind. I know many of you follow him on social media. Some of you like him. I've heard from some of you. Some of you, quite frankly, don't like him. And that's fair, and he knows that. He's not immune to that because he doesn't sugarcoat a whole lot. He tells you what he thinks. He's been doing it a long time. He talks to a lot of people around the National Football League. And I'll tell you something right now. In this conversation I'm about to have with Chad Forbes, he was pretty definitive on who the Jaguars are going to take at number 5. He didn't waste a breath when I asked him about the 5th overall pick. And who he said will open some eyebrows. Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites, reviewing free agency here in Jacksonville. What does it mean for the draft in late April? We'll talk about all of it next. Hacker After Dark on a Wednesday evening right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM.
The home of the Florida Gators and Jacksonville Jaguars.
Make yourselves at home, sweet home, boys.
1010XL.
Hello!
It's a big house.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor, outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Here's your 1010XL First Coast Community Calendar.
If you'd like to spend your spring and summer at the ballpark, plan to attend the Jumbo Shrimps Job Fair March 15th at the 5-Star Ballpark. You can learn about the positions offered at jackshrimp.com.
Your love can give pets a purpose. To adopt a loving animal from the Jacksonville Humane Society, call 725-8766. Veterans, first responders, and law enforcement officers deserve the best treatment. That's why ETMS Florida provides a free, drug-free electromagnetic treatment that helps lower symptoms of PTSD, anxiety, insomnia, and depression. Learn more at etmsflorida.com.
Caddyshack Ranch provides a safe, loving, and forever home to endangered big cats. Caddyshack, on the north side of Jacksonville, has helped lions, tigers, and endangered animals for 30 years. Learn how you can visit or help at caddyshackranch.org.
Share your community event at 1010XL.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Don't miss the Players Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scotty Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
When you want to be heard, send your opinion to the 1010XL text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures.
Thank you for believing in me when the bosses didn't give me a chance.
641-1010. No texting and driving. Get your thoughts heard on 1010XL.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and you got really cool things going on right now because there's new product coming in the showroom. Tell everybody about the Aprilia Demo Days.
March 11th and 12th. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday. We're going to have the Aprilia demo truck. We caught them on the way back from Daytona Bike Week. They're going to be there. Come ready to ride.
Tell everybody real quick about Aprilia.
They are a bad Italian motorcycle. Nobody's ever ridden an Italian anything and said that wasn't fun.
Check it out. Cycles of Jacksonville. All the details on their Facebook page.
Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org.
For Canine Veterans Day, Navy Mutual would like to salute all active and retired canines that have served our country. Canine Veterans Day has been officially designated as a day to honor these unique members of our military. America salutes you.
Pick it here for Bound 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bound 9. Visit Bound 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bound 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, your home for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we are glad you are with us. Boy, what an offseason. From the head coaching search to the GM search, a brand new staff, and now the Jaguars have been the most active team in NFL free agency. Let's talk about all of it with Chad Forbes. He's one of my favorites here on 1010XL. At NFL Draft Bites is where you find him, and he's always kind enough to join us here in the city of Jacksonville. Chad, how we doing, man?
No dull moments with the free agent frenzy this year.
It's been wild. The Jaguars brought in 9 guys overall, and before we talk about them individually, Chad, there's talk here about not making the big splash, or maybe the fan base is a little underwhelmed by some of the guys they brought in. What's your response to that?
It's already a talented roster. They've got a lot of high-paid guys on it, and they went out and addressed their needs, and I liked a lot of the fits, and we'll go through them.
Let's start with a guy that we haven't talked a lot about, although you and I have, because we texted, when it happened. Hunter Long is a guy that we really haven't talked much about, the tight end from the Rams, but that's a guy that you really, really like.
Right, 8 catches in his career, so that's going to be the knock for kind of the scouts that just look at those statistics in the fantasy football world. This guy does 2 things really well. He plays special teams, which is rare for a tight end, and he's a great blocker. He's 26 years old. It's a cheap deal. I like that they got him for 2 years. So if he proves to be the good pick, you got him for a second year. Got kind of on a non-guaranteed option. Really like that fit.
Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites on social media. Johnny Mund is another tight end as well, and they brought in 2 blocking tight ends for way less than San Francisco paid Luke Farrell. Look, no offense to Luke Farrell. Go get your money, man, and he got it. But I think the Jaguars probably saved some money there and picked up 2 tight ends that can probably be as good, if not better, than Luke Farrell, correct?
Right. Mund played really well when Hawkinson was down. He kind of was a second blocking tight end there behind Josh Oliver. Obviously some familiarity from his days out in Los Angeles. And you're right. You look at that deal that Luke Farrell got. I think you got 2 players. To me, Hunter Long's a better player than Farrell, just straight up. But you also get Munt, which provides some depth. It kind of changes what they're looking for out of the tight end position in this Liam Cohen offense.
I was under the opinion Kyle Trask, obviously with his familiarity with Cohen, along those lines as the backup quarterback. Jacksonville decides to go Nick Mullins. Now, look, if your backup quarterback is playing anything but the victory position at the end of a blowout, it's going to be a problem, so we don't have to spend too much time on this. But what was your reaction to Nick Mullins here in Jacksonville?
29 years old, started 20 games in the league, 6,500 passing yards, doesn't seem to turn the ball over. Can't tell you I've watched a lot of tape on Nick Mullins, but the belief has always been, and that's why he's stuck around the league, is that he's a capable backup quarterback and get you out of a game and maybe win you a couple down, if the guy's out. But yeah, if Trevor's down, you're not going to have Nick Mullins guiding you to some playoff win.
Yeah, we found that out last year with Mac Jones. All right, those are the 3 guys that we really haven't spent a lot of time on. Let's talk about the guys that are going to play a significant role here, and we'll begin with De'Ami Brown, the wide receiver from Washington. Chad, this is a sneaky under the radar one for me, man. I mean, you look at what he did in the playoffs for the Commanders. He really came on. I think based on some of his social media posts, he felt a little maybe underappreciated in Washington. He signs a 1-year kind of prove-it deal. How does he complement Brian Thomas Jr. in this Liam Cohen offense?
Just great trades, underutilized in Washington, as you mentioned. When he came out, I was really high on him, and he definitely didn't live up to kind of his abilities in D.C., but he's 25-year-old guy. He's getting, this deal's getting some criticism nationally because, everybody talks about these guys that are kind of the has-beens, the DeAndre Hopkins, the Amari Coopers. But when you get to free agency, you're looking for these young guys that you hope are ascending. It's not like the only offer De'Ami Brown had was from the Jaguars. There are 4 or 5 teams interested, including some pretty smart ones like the Seattle Seahawks. So, yeah, I think if you're Liam Cohen, you say, I'm going to use him in the Chris Godwin role that he had in Tampa Bay, kind of in the slot out wide. He can block, but also try to add him as a vertical element to complement Brian Thomas Jr. I really like the signing. I'm a big fan of De'Ami Brown. It's a lot of money, but you know what? That's what you got to pay in free agency. That's why it's retail.
Surprised a 1-year deal for somebody as young as him. It's basically a 1-year prove-it deal here in Jacksonville.
Right, and if it was an ideal world, you would say that this is 3 years at $30 million with $10 million guaranteed. So you'd have those kind of non-guaranteed club options on the back end. But he's 25 years old. He had a lot of interest. He wants to prove it and then get back to the market. And it's a 1-year deal. If you're wrong, you're wrong. But this one, last year I told you I didn't love the acquisition they brought in from Buffalo. With De'Ami Brown, I really like it.
I do too. I think it's a nice compliment to Brian Thomas Jr. Chad Forbes here with us. You can follow him on social media at NFL Draft Bites. Let's go to the secondary next. The safeties got paid all around the league, and the thought here in Jacksonville was Cam Bynum, maybe, Holland from Miami. Instead, they go for a veteran in Eric Murray, a guy that's played a lot of football, but were you surprised Jacksonville went that route?
Yeah, it felt like a little bit of an overpay, and this is the one deal you're going to criticize, a 31-year-old safety who's been playing on a 1-year deal last year with the Texans. He obviously had a pretty good season, but, I look at a guy that I found very comparable in terms of free agent fits. There's a guy named Will Harris who played under this defensive coordinator when he was at Boston College. He gets 2 years, $8 million. So giving this guy, $7 million a year and really guarantees him the second year, it felt like a bit of an overpay, so I'll be a little critical of that one.
I guess the way I'm looking at it, the Jaguars have 21 draft picks in the next 2 years, and a guy like Murray, you're probably banking on kind of the Barry Church thing from 2017. He's your starter this year, maybe next year, and by no later than 2027, he hands the reins off to somebody that the new regime drafts. Is that the idea in your opinion?
Yeah, it is, and it's interesting. It's kind of where does the safety group go from here? Because you've got some guys under contract that have been around for a while, like Wingard, and you brought in the guy from Green Bay last year, and then obviously there's the young kid back there. So it's interesting to see kind of where the safety position goes, but the contract they gave him, that tells you that he's a starter.
Jordan Lewis was the first guy the Jaguars signed from Dallas, the nickel. Now, the reaction in Dallas has been swift in that they're really unhappy they're losing him, which I guess is a good sign. Truthfully, I didn't know a ton about him, but Jacksonville's making him the highest paid nickel corner in the league. Let's first and foremost start with Lewis, and then we'll talk about what that means for Jarian Jones. What is your opinion of the Lewis signing?
Always said I don't love corners, except for a few of them. The Patrick Surtains or the Revis in the past are inconsistent year to year. So always kind of try to stay away from paying them the big number. Jordan Lewis in his career has been remarkably consistent. He's a really, really good nickel. I like what he brings. The ramifications for Jarian Jones are kind of interesting given he was a third-round pick. But Jordan Lewis, he's a really good player. And in the nickel, you want a guy that's physical. And also it's a position that's less predicated on speed. You want a guy that's quick. And I think with guys that are getting closer to 30, what goes first is really the long speed, not necessarily the quickness.
I think people that follow you on social media, they think of you more as an NFL insider, a guy that, shares a lot of rumors because you talk with guys around the league. But your Twitter handle is at NFL Draft Bites. I mean, you're a draft guy at heart. What did you think of Jarian Jones coming out last year, and do you believe he can play on the outside?
I do not think he can play on the outside. No, he's got 30-inch arms. That's kind of pushing him to play outside. If you're going to play like off coverage, maybe, but he's not going to ever be like a press man guy. If you're going to be a zone team, perhaps, but it's going to be tough for him to fit on the outside. That's for sure.
Well, that's an interesting opinion. I think that's what the Jaguars are going to try to do. We'll see if it ultimately works out. And then the 3 offensive linemen. Let's not spend a lot of time on Shuma Idogbo, but he looks like he's going to be the swing tackle. The guy started 10 games in Dallas the last 2 years. I guess you could do a lot worse for a swing offensive tackle, and then the Jaguars go get Adogba from Dallas.
I didn't love that deal, but, the one that I did was Hainsey. I mean, that's just really smart. This is a guy that in Tampa, they felt last year that as Graham Barton really struggled, the first-round pick at center, that it might make sense to reinsert Hainsey, and they ultimately did. And this guy's played a lot of snaps in his career. But what I like is that in his platform season, so last year, he really didn't play a lot. So he's going to come in healthy. He's my starting center, but it also doesn't preclude you. Say you love the Georgia center and you want to take him in the third round, you can go in that direction. He's got some versatility to play guard. He even played some tackle last year. I love Hainsey. I think that was one of the really smart signings of the offseason. And then the guy they brought from Baltimore, I mean, it was a big number, but that's what guards are getting. You saw that, Will Freeze from the Colts got like almost $18 million a year. So, this is what you're going to have to pay if you're going to go out and get a really good guard in free agency. You can also play tackle. I like that addition because it doesn't preclude you. Say 5, you want to go Membu or Will Campbell. Both these guys have, just different versatility, so you can still have your options open.
What do you tell Jaguar fans that have a little trepidation about Hainsey because he was essentially benched last year?
They took a center in the first round. They thought that, that when they had Ryan Jensen, that really made them like a dominant run team. They fully bought into that Barton had power, which he clearly doesn't. And inside the Buccaneers building, and I know this for a fact, there were people that wanted to reinsert Hainsey into the lineup at center. But in the NFL, we know how it is. You don't bench your first-round pick.
Final moments with Chad Forbes. You mentioned Patrick McCarry, the guy from Baltimore. And, Chad, I can't imagine this many guys in the NFL. Maybe McCarry's the only guy. He's played over 270 snaps at all 5 positions along the offensive line in his career. I mean, that's crazy, right? Guys don't do that.
It's wild, his versatility. He's a great player, and I think he was undrafted coming out and really earned everything he's gotten. So it was great to see him get a big free agent contract. He's going to keep working. And, right guard, left guard, say you move on from Ezra Cleveland, you could put him anywhere, tackles down, throw him there. So this is just great to have for the offensive line. And, people are going to say, okay, they're done with the offensive line. No, I think they're going to go that direction to 5.
Well, that's interesting. All right, so let's get there next as we begin to wrap up. So you think offensive line is still in play at number 5. Would that be Will Campbell? Is he your number 1?
No, I think it's Membu. And I believe they're infatuated with Armin Membu. And he reminds people a lot of Tristan Wirfs. Tested very similarly. I say this stat, but since the franchise came into inception, they've had 2 Pro Bowl offensive linemen, right? That's Tony Baselli and a second guy there in the late 90s, so Leah Searcy. So the offensive line's never been good in Jacksonville. Like now you got Anton Harrison and Walker Little, your tackles. Sure, that looks good on a depth chart today, but you're thinking about 3, 5, 10 years down the line. This guy Membu's 20 years old. He's just loaded with talent. And I think he's going to be the pick at 5.
Well, that's interesting. And if he is, are you foreseeing him as a left tackle?
Oh, absolutely. There's no reason he shouldn't be a left tackle. If you got to play him at guard right away, that's what you can move Ezra Cleveland off that contract, perhaps trade him. He'd have some value in the league actually at that contract. But you don't have to push him right into the lineup because you've got all these guys with versatility. But yeah, Membu, he has Mason Graham's interesting. He's going to be a lot of talk at 5. But if you say, okay, I want a guy that's going to turn into the next Tristan Wirfs, it's Armand Membu.
No, I like that a lot. Quickly, you mentioned Mason Graham. The Jaguars, at the time you and I are talking, have not done much in the defensive line rotation. Clearly, that's something that needs to be addressed at some point in the draft, correct?
Oh, absolutely. And there's going to be a lot of defensive tackles there in the second round, like a T.J. Sanders, is a Florida State guy, Farmer. I don't think you necessarily need to go Mason Graham at 5. And I think that what they're saying is we spent a lot of money on this position. Davon Hamilton's under contract. We got Armstead. We got all these guys. So this is not the offseason they're going to jump in and spend big money on that position. Maybe it's something they look at later down the line in this third wave of free agency.
Final Jaguar question, then I want to end with a league-wide thought. Final Jaguar thought, though, Chad. Wide receiver, De'Ami Brown, Brian Thomas Jr., obviously, Gabe Davis, who I know you're not a big fan of, Parker Washington. They need to do something else at wide receiver, right? Either free agency or the draft.
Just, add another veteran, and then in that draft, from a local guy, Pat Bryant from Illinois, I'd take him in the 4th round.
I love Pat Bryant. I had him in studio a bunch.
He's a great player.
Yeah, I agree. I would love for Jacksonville.
He's got size, and in a group of wide receivers in this draft, there's not a lot of guys that'll do some dirty work. I like Pat Bryant a lot.
No, completely agree. All right, leave us with this. It's very early still in the offseason, and things could change. But as it stands right now, team that has helped themselves the most in free agency and maybe the team that has hurt themselves the most?
That's a good question. It's it's hard to say. There's been some deals out there that I haven't liked, but all in all, it's like the Chiefs just seem like it doesn't seem like they're going in the right direction. Same with the 49ers. Like, 49ers are they have this roster that's getting old and aging. They're cutting all these guys. They got $90 million dead cap. They didn't trade the guys at the right time. And then their big move is jumping out in free agency and adding your backup tight end who has like 0 touchdowns in his career and isn't, for $7 million a year. The 49ers seem like they're going backwards. And the Chiefs, that left tackle contract seemed odd. And then you just got to love what the Commanders did, right? They saw these crazy numbers for all these left tackles, and they said, let's go get Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I look in the division, right? I don't know what Houston's doing on the offensive line. And then when it comes to Tennessee, I mean, Titans Twitter's going berserk, and I don't blame them. They have a ton of money, and they're just not doing anything right now.
I'll tell you what, if you're a Jaguars fan, you say, okay, we're marching into Houston to play week 1, and Laramie Tunsil's not in the lineup with those 2 edge rushers, you like your chances a lot better. So he was their best offensive lineman. They're putting out there because they hate the national criticism that he was tough in the offensive line. Well, he was there for 5 or 6 years. You guys paid him like 3 times. So maybe this is a new development, but he's a great player. And if I'm the Jaguars, I'm thrilled he's gone.
Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites on social media. Chad, it's a busy time of year for you. Thank you for taking time out, pal. We'll talk again soon.
Sounds great, Ryan. Take care.
Big moment. Play-by-play is full of plot twists.
Did that just happen?
And high-octane drama.
And this game is tied.
Experience the most play-by-play sports on 1010XL.
Hey, this is Darren with One Call Lawn and Pest Control. Since 2011, we've taken great pride in being Northeast Florida's premier lawn, termite, and pest control company. Our technicians receive thorough training year-round, focusing on exceptional customer service with meticulous attention to detail. One Call serves the greater Jacksonville area, including St. Augustine, Orange Park, and Fernandina. We're eager for the opportunity to earn your business and welcome you to the One Call family. Call or text us for a free quote, 413-8377.
Attention skilled electricians. Are you undervalued at your current company? Time to step up to the bigger projects and better opportunities. Join the team at Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering not just a job, but an experienced, top-notch pay, unbeatable benefits, and the best working environments in the business. Please join the team that values your skills and rewards your hard work. Elevate your career to new heights. Apply today at millercareers.com, an equal opportunity employer.
Bueller, stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, buddy, you look worried.
Worried? I'm apoplectic!
You're what now?
I'm freaking out, Jason. Stupid water heater crapped out, so I haven't showered since Thursday. I start smelling a little funky, blow my big corporate job interview tomorrow, I'll end up settling for some dead-end career selling spatulas on the internet.
Dude, stay cool.
There's nothing cool about a cold shower, Jason. I mean, I know how that sounds, but
Bueller Air and Plumbing can get a new water heater installed today. The day you call. You could be smelling fresh again by dinner time.
Wait, you can do that?
Put on these sunglasses. Whoa. Is that cooler?
Oh, yeah.
Well, life moves pretty fast. If you spend much more time smelling like this, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Hello, I'm attorney Malcolm Anthony. Being charged with domestic violence can turn your life upside down. If you're in trouble, call me, Malcolm Anthony, at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW.
She's very comfortable talking sports and hanging out with the boys.
Mia O'Brien here, still providing the best multimedia sports coverage in Northeast Florida on 1010XL radio, video, and social channels.
All things Mia are driven by Arlington Toyota.
Baseball is back. Don't miss this year's Florida State baseball game, Tuesday, March 25th at VyStar Ballpark at 6 p.m. This can't-miss event sells out quickly, so buy your tickets today to get the best seats possible. It's Florida State on the diamond at VyStar Ballpark, Tuesday, March 25th. Get your tickets at TaxSlayerGatorBowl.com. TaxSlayerGatorBowl.com. We'll see you at the ballpark.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey, and I only like to recommend the best, which is why I'm proud to say that I chose Pella Windows and Doors for my own home. And now's a great time to upgrade your home with 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Don't wait. Schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. For quality you can trust and savings you can't miss, that's Pella Windows and Doors.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family-owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
Okay, sports fans, Hicken here. Let's talk skin. I and Beaches Dermatology are reminding you all to wear your sunscreen. Spring is here, and that means more time outside. Grabbing the clubs for your tea time? Bring the screen. Heading out on the boat? Bring the screen. Headed to the beach? Definitely bring the sunscreen. All in all, make sure sunscreen is included in your outdoor activities. If you have any concerns now, give Beaches Dermatology a call. I've been seeing them for years, and my skin thanks me for it. Call today online at beachesdermatology.com.
You waited forever for your new fence. Then strangers show up. Subcontractors rushing the job. Sent by the company you trusted. Frustrating, right? Superior Fence and Rail promises better. Their professionally trained builders deliver quality you can trust. No subcontractors, no shortcuts. Just the superior craftsmanship your home deserves.
When you're on the fence, about the fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Yes, it is. With you till 10 o'clock here, Hacker After Dark, 1010XL and 92.5 FM. You know, I go back to Monday. Monday was insanely busy. We had 5 different guests on Monday, the day that all of these new Jaguars agreed to terms. We had guys in Houston, in Tampa, in Dallas, in Washington, and in Baltimore, all talking about the new free agents that were coming to Jacksonville. And that was on Monday. Well, we crammed them all into basically an hour and 20 minutes. Obviously, we know that you guys don't listen all day, every day, or every second to Hacker After Dark. So we're going to periodically replay a few of these tonight, tomorrow, and Friday, now that these guys are officially Jacksonville Jaguars. And coming up within the next 5 minutes, we will go to Washington, D.C. Well, you hear from Linnell Willingham, 106.7 The Fan, up in Washington, as we do about 5 minutes with him just on De'Ami Brown, the brand new wide receiver here in Jacksonville that became official earlier this afternoon. A $10 million one-year deal. I think it could be upwards of $12 million with incentives. What does De'Ami Brown bring to the table? I'll tell you what he did in the playoffs. He had 14 catches for 230 yards for the Commanders in those 3 playoff games, including 5 catches for 89 yards and a touchdown in Washington's wildcard weekend win over Tampa. So obviously Liam Cohen got to see De'Ami Brown up close and personal. So we'll find out about De'Ami Brown from Linnell Willingham, 106.7 The Fan in the D.C. area in less than 5 minutes. If you missed this earlier as well, Evan Ingram was not out of work for long. Evan Ingram, the former now Jaguar tight end, is the newest tight end for the Denver Broncos. Evan Ingram signing a 2-year deal today in Denver. We're actually going to go out to Denver tomorrow night and just kind of get a lay on the land of what Evan Ingram is going to mean for Bo Nix and that Bronco offense. I have nothing but positive things to say about Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram was always cordial with the media. Evan Ingram was always the first guy. I had a thing. If you followed me during training camp the last couple of years, every morning I would go out there and I would take a photo of Evan Ingram because he was the first player on the field at training camp every single day. It was very impressive. He was out there 10, 15, 20 minutes before some of the other guys, at least, every morning. And he was always very good with the fans, signing autographs and stuff. Evan was a good dude, and it's unfortunate that it was only 3 years here, but I'm certainly rooting for him. And I think Denver's a pretty good landing spot. A young team, young quarterback, made the playoffs last year. Evan can help that team, and I certainly believe that's a good signing today for Denver. So Christian Kirk is now with the Texans. Evan Ingram is now with the Broncos. Luke Farrell, the 49ers. Andre Sisco to the Jets. Interesting, it's a one-year deal for Sisco, kind of a prove-it deal in New York. And did you see earlier today, Blake Hance is also going to remain in the AFC South as he signs on with the Tennessee Titans. Now, here's the interesting thing about all this. The Jaguars not only brought 9 guys in outside of the organization, which is the most free agents any team has brought in the NFL to this point, they haven't re-signed any of their own guys. They're letting all their own guys walk. Brandon Sheriff, we know, is gone. He just hasn't signed anywhere yet. Mac Jones, we know, is gone. He just hasn't signed anywhere yet. The Jaguars aren't bringing anybody back. I guess they tendered Cole Van Lannon, which means they would get a 6th-round pick if somebody signs him. But aside from that, obviously they didn't think very much of the guys that were free agents because they didn't really try to bring any of them back. And they brought in 9 fresh bodies. It's been a lot of change here in Jacksonville in the last 48 or so hours. One of those changes is De'Ami Brown, wide receiver out of Washington, a 1-year deal. On Monday, fresh after Brown agreed to terms with the Jaguars. We went up to D.C. We caught up with Linnell Willingham of 106.7 The Fan in Washington, D.C. Here's what he told us about brand new Jaguar wide receiver De'Ami Brown. Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, your home for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we are glad you are with us. Boy, the Jaguars have made a couple, signings today. We'll take that back. Signings not until Wednesday, but they've agreed to terms with some folks. Not exactly splashes, but one of the more intriguing guys to me is the wide receiver coming in from Washington, De'Ami Brown, reportedly a 1-year, $10 million deal to come to Jacksonville to join Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence. Let's go up to the D.C. area and let's find out about De'Ami Brown. Linnell Willingham of 106.7 The Fan in Washington joins us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Linnell, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How you guys doing?
Hey, buddy, we're good. Thank you for the time on short notice. All right, De'Ami Brown to the Jaguars. Your thoughts when you saw the deal earlier today?
Yeah, I kind of been bracing Commander fans, really since the start of the offseason that, hey, considering this is, largely described by most folks as a weak wide receiver free agent class, I thought guys like De'Ami Brown would maybe be out of Washington's price range. I was telling you before we hopped on here that I'm actually not too happy with our guy De'Ami Brown. So Dante Fowler, who I know you all know very well down there as well, was kind of frustrated last night, I guess, with the offer that Washington gave to him. Put out a series of expletive tweets, but then deleted them. And then De'Ami Brown quote tweeted it and was like, exactly. So basically he felt like he was lowballed by Washington, probably for good reason, though. Like, I think it's a good signing for Jacksonville. I see how he fits into that offense. You can never have too much speed. I think he's a guy that he's only in his, 4th year in the National Football League. And is a guy that I think, if it all pans out for him, the ceiling for him is like a guy like a Christian Kirk, who you all just lost. So I do think there's some tremendous upside there. The first 3 years of his career, though, guys, like he really struggled to get going and carve out a prominent role in the offense. And considering Washington hasn't had the most dynamic skill group, I did question that. But this past year, Cliff Kingsbury, carved out a role for him. I thought going into camp last year, there was thought around whether or not he would even make the final 53. I thought he had an excellent camp. Him and Jaden Daniels hooked up, routinely out there, specifically stretching the field vertically. I think that is really Dyami's bread and butter. But what he did this year that I think caught some people by surprise in a good way was the physicality and the willingness that he showed to block in the run game and in the screen game. They got an old saying in the Commanders receiver room, no block, no rock. And Dyami obviously took that personally, goes for a career high 30 catches, 308 yards and a touchdown. That's not really where he did his damage. The postseason is where Dyami really turned up. 14 receptions, 229 yards, and a touchdown. He had 9 first downs in the postseason as well. And, after the way he performed in the postseason, I thought he would get a deal like this. Tutu Atwell signed for $10 million with the Rams. So I thought Dyami, similar stats, similar age, will be right in that demographic.
Oh, no, Willingham, 106.7 The Fan up in Washington. You mentioned Dyami Brown and the blocking. That stands to reason with what we heard from Liam Cohen from people in Tampa about wide receivers really needing to block in his offense. And I guess what you're saying is when Washington brought in Deebo Samuel, did that kind of seal Dyami's fate up there?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I just think, obviously, how this thing goes. The legal tampering period opened up at noon today. Washington has had discussions with Dyami's representatives, and those talks, I think, ultimately came to a head around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock Eastern time last night. As you're getting closer to the time to be able to talk to other teams, I think the Deebo Samuel thing definitely did help Dyami's cause in terms of coming back. I continue to believe for Washington, there was just a certain price that they weren't willing to go over, and Jacksonville obviously was. So now Dyami is a Jaguar.
Final question. Again, thank you for joining us on such a busy day. The type of guy that's coming to Jacksonville. They've had issues here in the past with previous regimes are bringing in, the wrong type guys. What kind of guy is Dyami? How would you describe him?
I think he's a guy that is continuing to mature, right? Going to turn 26 during the regular season. A guy that wasn't the toughest cat when he first came to Washington. I think that to me has been the thing that I've been most impressed with really the last 2 years. You've seen him take a step forward with his physicality as a blocker and things of that nature. Off the field, though, a squeaky clean track record. Never heard any type of inklings or rumblings about, him being a problem off the field. I think he's a guy that is going to be a model citizen and be a stand-up guy and really help out that Jaguars offense. You talk about speed. Liam Cohen is certainly putting together quite the track team with Brian Thomas Jr. as well as Dyami Brown. So I wish the kid the best. I think he's a good guy overall. Didn't like the tweet last night, but you know how guys get about their money. I can't blame him, and I hope he really has a good rest of his career down there in Jacksonville.
Well, we certainly appreciate you joining us on short notice. Again, 106.7 The Fan. You're on other outlets as well. We know there's a lot of Washington fans in our area. Well, where can people find you?
You can find me on social media first and foremost at NELL_BTP, and then you can catch me on the Team 980 AM in Washington, D.C., and then weekends, you can catch me on the Infinity Sports Network, formerly known as CBS Sports Radio. So a lot of different ways you can catch me, and I appreciate you all having me on.
Hey, well, we appreciate it, buddy. Take care. We'll talk again soon.
No problem, my man.
One of the few places drinking and driving isn't against the law.
Good-looking shot here.
Get live Southeast Orthopedic Specialist leaderboard updates
from Corona Premier, Campione Law, and Kuhn Flowers
on 1010XL.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab Crab House.
Plumbing problem? AC acting up? Septic tank trouble? Don't waste time calling 3 different companies. Just call Duck Rooter. We offer plumbing, septic, and air conditioning services, making it easy for you to work with one trusted company and one simple bill. Every department has highly skilled experts trained for the job. For fast, reliable service from a company that does it all the right way, call 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Multi-unit hair grafting is now available at IHRS and can give you 3 times more hair in one procedure over a traditional hair transplant.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
You can grow your hair back with this exclusive new procedure. Call for a free evaluation. Call IHRS 904-777-IHRS 777-IHRS 777-4477.
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scotty Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Do you know someone looking for a fun and rewarding summer job? Join the YMCA team, gain valuable experience, and make a difference in kids' lives. Turn your passion for this community into a fulfilling career at the First Coast YMCA. Now hiring camp counselors, lifeguards, child care leaders, and membership experience team. Every single person on the dedicated YMCA staff plays a role in making the Y a welcoming and vital resource for our community. Find your career at the Y at fcymca.org.
Equal opportunity employer.
Cannonball!
Honey, someone's in our pool.
Oh, refreshing.
John, what are you doing?
Oh, hey, Dave. Seeing as how me and the guys at Clearwater Irrigation reinstalled your sprinklers after the pool contractor ripped it out, I thought you wouldn't mind if I took a quick dip.
But in a Jaguar print Speedo?
Yeah, Dave. My bad. Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage, too.
For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging in the mirror? Fine lines, sun damage, redness? They don't have to be part of your future. I'm Dr. Mark Capel, a board-certified dermatologist, and I can help you look and feel your best without invasive surgery or painful treatments. Imagine rejuvenating your skin in a relaxing, comfortable environment with minimal to no downtime. Smooth out fine lines, even skin tone, and restore that youthful glow. Find out how to look and feel your best at Dermagnify.com. Dermagnify.com.
Ahead, we build platforms for digital business. We help create your platform for digital business by weaving together advances in cloud infrastructure, intelligent operations, and modern applications. Digital business is comprised of 5 pillars. We call them imperatives because they're a must-have, not a nice-to-have. We enterprise cloud, integrated security, scaled DevOps, intelligent operations, and relentless automation. Need help with digital transformation? Ahead. Learn, grow, achieve.
Haymaker Coffee is a local coffee brand to help fuel your daily grind. Why Haymaker? It's
fuel for the morning hustle, the late night, and every step of the way. Bold flavors for the bold city. Online at haymakercoffeeco.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Halftime, Hacker After Dark, 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We will take you up until 10 o'clock, as we do every night right here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. Coming up towards the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour, my buddy Gary Smits of the Florida Times-Union. How about this for a story? We're going to preview the players, right? We're going to talk about Tiger and that awful story about a ruptured Achilles for Tiger. Yikes. Next time we see him play competitive golf, likely to be on the Champions Tour, next year at some point. But Gary Smits, this is his 40th players that he's covered for 3 different newspapers in the area. That's 40th players, which is just absolutely wild. No one has covered this tournament longer than Gary Smits. He was at the original in 1981. Again, 40 years of covering the players. And we're going to have Smitter coming up here towards the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour. I'm going to ask him this, too, for those of you going out there tomorrow. Look, everybody knows about 17, right? Everybody knows 16, 17, 18, and the viewing experience that those are. But where are some of the hidden gems, right? Where are some of the places that you might not think of that are terrific, maybe off the beaten path to watch golf if you're so inclined tomorrow through Sunday? Well, again, 40 years, not many people know that course better than Gary Smits. So I'm going to ask him about some of the hidden gems. Where would he go if he wants to avoid maybe some of the crowds and watch good golf beginning tomorrow morning when the players gets underway? Also coming up in less than 15 minutes, my buddy Graham Hall, 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247. Graham is up in Nashville getting ready for the SEC tournament. We will talk about the Florida Gators, 27-4 on the year. They don't play until Friday. Now, Gator fans, I'm sure you're watching, or if you're not, we knew Florida was going to play either Mississippi State, LSU, or Missouri. Well, you can erase LSU off of that list. Mississippi State is destroying them right now. So Mississippi State will advance to take on Missouri tomorrow, and Florida will play the winner of Missouri and Mississippi State coming up on Friday. Other action in the SEC tournament. Boy, John Calipari in Arkansas, they needed a win today. They got it barely. They survive South Carolina 72-68. Texas with an enormous win for their resume over Vanderbilt, 79-72. Told you Mississippi State's beating LSU. There is one more game in the SEC tournament first round tonight. That's our buddy Mike White and Georgia taking on Oklahoma. Georgia is probably already in the big dance. Oklahoma needs to win. It is a must-win for Oklahoma tonight in round 1 of the SEC tournament. Again, 4 more games tomorrow, and then the big 4, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, and Auburn will get their SEC tournament begin on Friday. In the ACC tournament, I got to tell you, nothing says ACC tournament basketball like the big one going on right now between Stanford and Cal. I mean, when you think about the legacy and the history of the Atlantic Coast Conference basketball tournament, so much prestige and heritage with that thing, and Stanford and Cal is one of the bigger ones that they've had. Stanford 71-68 with a minute to go. We already saw North Carolina knock off Notre Dame, and we already saw Georgia Tech knock off, they knocked off somebody. You can trust me on that. I forget who they knocked off, but Georgia Tech did get the victory over somebody earlier today. And they all beat Virginia. There you go. They beat Virginia. I watched the end of that game. Georgia Tech did win that game by 6. So the Yellow Jackets advance, North Carolina advances, and the winner of Stanford Cal will advance to the quarterfinals of the ACC tournament that begins tomorrow up in the Tobacco Road. So conference basketball tournament action all over the place. Jaguar news all over the place. If anything happens in the next hour, with the Cooper Kupp situation. We will let you know. I would not hold my breath. I do not expect that to happen, at least imminently. But there could be some interest on the Jaguars. They were not going to pay the $20 million, but they are a team that has a need at wide receiver. So if James Gladstone feels that Cooper Kupp has anything left in the tank, maybe they'll kick the tires on the 31, soon-to-be 32-year-old NFL veteran. Denmark, you're going out to the players on Friday. I know you and Baloo did your picks for the players earlier tonight, I guess. Look, the big story is Scotty Scheffler, obviously, going for a three-peat. That's just insane talk. Although this time last year, I'm not sure how many people thought he would go back-to-back, and he did. Rory McIlroy and he are in the same group tomorrow. That should be a crazy scene when they tee off tomorrow afternoon. What are the biggest things, your biggest look forward to's, if you will, about this year's players?
I really don't have. I want to see Rory. I want to see Scotty. I want to see Morikawa, Oberg. Everybody else is kind of like, eh. I mean, it's just, with Liv, there's just not as many names to keep an eye out for.
And that's the thing. And I hate to even bring that up, so I'm only going to mention it once. But since you did, I'll certainly bring it up. This is the tournament that's been hurt the most, and it's not even close by the Liv Tour.
It's not even.
I mean, the Liv Tour, those guys can play on the 4 majors. They can't play in non-majors. This is considered the 5th major, but the Liv guys don't play. So clearly, the tournament that has been affected the most by all of this is the players.
Yeah, I mean, people, here, you still go for the party and the interaction and, to hang out with buddies and all that. But, the actual golf itself has definitely hurt since that happened. But it's still a fun time. I'm going to be out there Friday for a little bit. And, I'm sure I'll run into some people. And then, I'll be chiming in here and there because, I got a busy weekend. Bob Hayes is going to be here. Everybody, all the local track teams in high school and middle school. They all come up to Bob Hayes, the UNF. They moved there 2 years ago, so that'll be a great track meet. But Sunday I'll be tuned in to everything that's going on, and I'm sure those names I named a couple of seconds ago are going to be all in the top 5. And I'm not really expecting any upset or anything like that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I will actually be watching the final round of the players on Sunday from my in-laws' house in the southern point of Maine, near the New Hampshire border, as Forrest is on spring break next week. So Heidi, I, and Little Hack are going to head up to see his grandparents in Maine. I will actually be out next Monday and Tuesday. I'll be back Wednesday. And then we're on remote Thursday night and Friday night for the first round of the NCAA tournament. But I'm looking forward to watching the final round with my father-in-law up in Maine. Hopefully they get it in. I know there's some interesting weather that may play a factor on Sunday. I certainly hope not. I hope it's not a Monday finish. If they need to start it earlier on Sunday, whatever they need to do to have it end on Sunday is certainly my hope. But if you're going out there and if you're looking for some hidden gems, places to watch it, we got Gary Smits coming up in less than 25 minutes, a guy that's covered 40 of these things. He's got some surprises for you as far as where places to go that maybe a lot of people don't know about, that you will see some terrific golf beginning tomorrow morning. But before we get there, let's go to Nashville. My buddy Graham Hall, 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247. Let's talk SEC tournament. Let's talk Florida Gator basketball. And let's talk potential #1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Graham Hall joins me next on a Wednesday night here in Northeast Florida. We're glad you're with us right here on Hacker After Dark.
Is this heaven?
No, it's the great before. This is where new souls get their personalities, quirks, and interests before they go to Earth.
1010XL.
Here's Linda Beaver.
At Beaver Chevrolet, we believe your experience should be more than just buying a car. It should be a lifetime of confidence, care, and trust. That's why we're proud to offer lifetime warranties and lifetime customer service. At Beaver Chevrolet, we're not just here to sell you a car. We're here to establish a lifelong relationship that you can always count on. It's simple. You deserve the best and shouldn't settle for less. Visit Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville, where we're ready to give you a peace of mind for a lifetime.
The 2025 NFL season is right around the corner, and the Jags are building something special. A fresh team, a new culture, and a stadium that's going to change the game. Be there to witness head coach Liam Cohen and the rest of the coaching crew in action by securing your season tickets today. Become a member to get access to exclusive experiences, VIP events, and more. Visit Jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. We can't wait to see you at the bank this fall.
The First Tee Tour Card is back for 2025 and better than ever, with access to over 15 of North Florida's best courses and new this year, local participating businesses. This card is your ticket to saving hundreds. First Tee North Florida is a local nonprofit who build character in youth participants through the game of golf. This annual fundraiser enables this amazing organization the ability to build game changers. Grab your tour card for just $99 at tourcard.org. for a list of participating partners, benefits, and restrictions.
North Florida is growing with lots of new families joining our community. If you're one of them making the move here, your next move should be a call to American Electrical to create the best home automation system, enhancing your living experience. There are many ways your life can be made easier through smart home technology, voice-activated systems, automated lighting, total house temperature control. With American Electrical, they've got everything you need to automate your home and make it your true oasis. Check out American-Electrical.com, powered by professionalism and raising the excellence bar.
Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, congratulating our Scholar Athlete of the Week, Jasmine Cross, senior flag football and basketball player at Fletcher High. Jasmine was all-conference last year and is a member of the National and Spanish Honor Societies. Congratulations, Jasmine.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. When pests invade your home or business, you don't just need them out, you need them out fast. And you need to keep them out. At Terminix, they'll show up for you and eliminate pests quicker, just like they did at my house, because they care about what matters most to you. When pests show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with a pest problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com. That's right, Terminix it.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold and silver and diamonds from the public. Gold has recently hit an all-time high at almost $3,000 per ounce. Pay bills, buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar or trade it in for a new piece and get even more value at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
E.T. here, and spring in Clay County means one thing, the award-winning Clay County Fair. It's more than just rides and a concert, it's an experience. Savor the flavors of classic fair treats, explore family-friendly attractions, and enjoy a perfect mix of small-town charm and big-time fun. Plan your trip with Explore Clay County Tourism and turn your visit into a getaway. Find the best places to stay, eat, and explore at exploreclay.com. And don't forget to share your fair adventures with #ExploreClay.
Denny Thompson here. You got to check out Tyson's Showroom Home Theater with surround sound and comfy theater chairs. You can transform your living room into a cinematic experience. I can stay there to watch all my games. It's that comfortable. Call Tyson today and bring the theater experience home. Tyson Sound and Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming Island.
Got a cracked windshield? Not only is it dangerous, but did you know it's also illegal? Call Baker Glass. Mack and his crew use the best auto glass in the market, and they accept most insurance. Plus, all new windshields come with a full warranty. From cars, to trucks, to RVs, you can count on Baker Glass to be fast and friendly. Just check out their Google reviews. Come see us at the shop on Casta Avenue, or we can come to you at your home or business.
I'm back with Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Hey, Hicken here, or just call me Dreamfinders Danny. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now's your chance to lock down that rate and get in the game. You heard me right. It's 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershomes.com for more details.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The regular season for the Florida Gator basketball team is in the rearview mirror, 27-4, including a 14-4 mark in conference play. The Gators are the number 2 seed in the SEC tournament, and they will play Friday against either LSU, Mississippi State, or Missouri. Let's talk about the Gator basketball team and our expectations moving forward with my buddy Graham Hall. 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247 is where you find Graham's coverage, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Graham, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to a great SEC tournament this weekend. I will be up in Nashville. Really looking forward to getting up there and seeing it.
What a tournament it should be. And before we look ahead to the tournament, Graham, let's just kind of recap, man. 27-4. You and I have spoke periodically through the year. Man, if you would have told me Florida was going to go 14-4 in this league once we figured out how good the SEC was, I don't think I would have believed you. Yet here we are, the number 2 seed overall. What can you say about this year for Todd Golden and the Gators?
An incredibly impressive year, just navigating the conference itself. I'm with you there that 14-4 was above my expectations just because of how difficult the league itself is. You're going to take some lumps on any given night here. Going on the road in this conference against anyone really is never a given win. And Florida certainly had some things go their way on the road and had some things not go their way on the road. You know, the injury at Tennessee to Walter Clayton Jr. kind of hindered their chances of winning that game. They get a buzzer beater pretty much to beat South Carolina, the SEC's worst team here. They mounted a comeback against LSU. And I think the most impressive thing about this team was their ability to not lose consecutive games all season long. And not only did they do that, but after each loss, they responded with a double-digit win after all 4 of those losses this season. It has been incredibly impressive. Obviously, that backcourt, we've talked about it a lot. Walter Clayton Jr., Elijah Martin, Will Richard. I don't know if there's a better backcourt trio in the country. I don't think there is right now. And then they got incredibly effective performances from their front court. Alex Condon, he had that low ankle sprain that kept him out for a handful of games. But in the time since, I mean, he has shown not just no signs of rust, but that he can be a dominant player at the right time for the Gators. He is physical. He plays with aggression. He is absolutely able to go get you some buckets, space the floor. He can score now at all 3 levels. He's knocking down 3-point shots. I mean, Thomas Houck, we've talked about how good he has been, especially when Condon was out of the lineup. I mean, he just seems to kind of bring contagious energy and do everything for Florida here. You know, he had, I hate to say but he had just 7 points, 6 assists and 5 rebounds against Ole Miss on Saturday, a guy who can go out there and impact you in all facets of the game here. And, you know, Ruben Chinyelu is probably one of the most underrated players on Florida's roster. A first-time starter, a sophomore here in the SEC. He's a very imposing defensive presence, and he can clean up around the rim and get you putbacks, and he's getting an expanding offensive game as well. And then, you know, this team gets Micah Handlockton back as well in February. It's just been an incredibly impressive year for Florida, and they look poised for a deep run in the NCAA tournament. Regardless of what happens in Nashville, I think they've made their case for a number 1 seed. With all that said, it's going to come down to matchups in the NCAA tournament, who Florida draws, what they like to do. It's going to be, you know, a postseason that is going to come down to how they fare in the next 9 games here. And I think that Florida has shown that it's not wise to bet against this team whatsoever.
Graham Hall, 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247. Graham, I'm going to throw a lot of stuff at you, so let's go rapid fire on a couple of these. Number 1 with Alex Condon. I think you might have to go back to Joakim Noah to find a jump from a freshman year to a sophomore year. Condon's leap in 1 year has been incredible.
Yeah, it has. I mean, this is a guy who was really impressive last year. There was a lot of people who thought that, when he got to campus, that he was going to be a stud. And I think that he has verified those beliefs. When he got on campus last year, Florida was just of the opinion that he had a lot of really nice attributes, but we just need some time to put it all together, and he certainly has. But I'm with you. The jump from freshman to sophomore year, you'd have to go back to Joakim Noah for me to find someone who has been that impactful. I mean, his passing as a big man limits turnovers, gets offensive rebounds. He really does everything that you want from a true four at the collegiate level. And I hope Florida fans enjoy him. I know they hope that he comes back for another year, but this is someone that if he were to enter the NBA draft after this season, in my opinion, he would be selected. He's already showing up in some mock drafts around the 40s, a second-round pick potentially here. Hopefully for Florida fans, he comes back, but this is a guy that already has a lot of desirable NBA attributes because of the leap that he's made.
One of the things about Golden, too, that I love is it's not just the portal and it's not just the recruiting. It's both. I mean, you look at Hauk, you look at Aberdeen, you look at Condon, huge portions of this team. And obviously the portal has been very good with Clayton and Elijah Martin. And if you even want to go back to Will Richard after his freshman year at Belmont, they're hitting it from both the portal and the high school front, which I think is great moving forward.
Yeah, I think that for this team to be as good as they are without, no offense to Florida's coaching staff, because I know they probably don't put a ton of stock into recruiting rankings when it comes to basketball, but they have done it without landing, a top 5 class, which is usually what you think, especially when you talk about football, what is required to be competing as one of the top 5 teams in the nation. You need those quote unquote blue chip prospects. And Florida has done that with their own evaluations, going and getting Walter Clayton Jr., Elijah Martin, obviously Final Four experience, and he would have had a chance to go to a lot of SEC teams if Florida didn't get him. Will Richard being the first guy to buy in from Belmont, Ruben Chinyelu coming over from Washington State, and then 2 forwards, obviously, and Alex Condon and Thomas Hauk, who didn't have a ton of SEC offers. Thomas just had one SEC offer. It was Florida. And, you would think that a program like Penn State wouldn't want him to have left the state, just knowing how close he was. But he grew up a Florida fan, which certainly helped Florida's chances. And their evaluations for a lot of guys who were underrated or under-recruited, whatever you want to call it, are why they're in the position they're in right now. And that's why this coaching staff is getting a lot of the praise, not just for their development once those guys get to Gainesville, but for identifying players who fell under, the radar here, kind of slipped through the cracks when it came to recruiting. And it's just been an impressive job over the last 3 years in building the roster with guys who were slept on and kind of counted out. And that's why this team has an underdog mentality, chip on their shoulder, because no one really thought that they would all be in this position, a top 3 team heading into probably Selection Sunday.
Couple of more for Graham Hall of 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247. All right, that brings us to the SEC tournament. As you said, you'll be up in Nashville. Now, the interesting thing, 16 teams are competing in this thing. 10 of them will already be eliminated before Florida even hits the court. That's what happens with the double bye. Florida's not going to play until Friday, roughly 7 o'clock Eastern. We don't know who they're going to play yet, Graham, but they're going to play either LSU, Mississippi State, or Missouri. And one would think it's probably going to be Missouri. And if that's the case, I would imagine that's got to make the Gators awfully happy because they get a chance to right a wrong from earlier in the regular season.
Yeah, a chance at revenge is certainly something this team would like to accomplish. I mean, Missouri was just out of their minds when they played the Gators back in, January. This is a team that shot, really well from three-point land, hit some off-balance, catch-and-shoot shots, had 51 points in the first half. The Gators rallied back from an 18-point deficit, but couldn't get that victory, lose by 1 in Gainesville, one of their few blemishes on this record here. And we'll see how it all shakes out. If they end up playing Mississippi State, that's a game that I think, Mississippi State and Missouri could go either way. 2 talented teams. Certainly Missouri's going to be the well-rested one, but Florida has a chance on Friday, to face Missouri and get a little bit of a revenge game. We'll see how they do on a neutral floor. But when you talk about the postseason tournament, a chance to right some wrongs. And Florida certainly has several of those. They only played Kentucky once. If they have a chance to somehow play Kentucky again, I think that they would like that opportunity to face this Wildcats team that had 106 points against them in the first week of conference play. So that's one of the additional storylines of the SEC tournament is you can get some matchups that only happen once, and one of those teams would like a chance at revenge here, and probably what is going to be the most competitive conference tournament in the history of the league. I mean, this is the most dominant conference of any conference in the last 2 decades, and it's going to be absolutely riveting to watch how these games unfold here, with some teams trying to improve their seeding and some trying to absolutely make the NCAA tournament. You have a lot of teams playing for their season and their postseason hopes on the line here, and that's just one of those additional factors when it comes to the SEC tournament.
Graham, what do you tell Gator fans listening right now that say, or that still have stress about last year? Florida made a great run in last year's tournament, get to the finals. They lose Micah Handlockton. Some people will say Florida, you play that many games in that amount of days, things like that happen. And then Florida's season was over 4 days later in round 1 of the NCAA tournament. Gator fans, or at least some that I've talked to, are concerned about that. What's your response?
Well, you can't bank on an injury happening again and let it impact your competitive fire. I mean, this is a team that wants to go out and win a championship. They want to be able to say that they're SEC champions in the deepest year of the league, in the history of the league. And I think that is the overarching sentiment in Gainesville, is that they can't let the potential fear or losing a guy for an extended period of time impact their mentality. Because when you play, not to say playing scared necessarily, but when you play cautious like that, it's not a mentality that you want to cultivate within your program. You want to, cultivate championship mentality. And I think that is something that Florida is trying to unleash when they get to Nashville here, is not being afraid of what happened last year. And I think for Micah Handlockton, this is a guy who has gotten into a better mental place the more and more he has played. And if you let your focus drift back to that unfortunate, gruesome moment from a year ago, that's maybe going to undo some of the progress for him if Florida, affects their approach based on what happened last year. It's not something that is going to happen again to Micah with the, titanium rod in his leg. And for the rest of the Gators, they can't go into Nashville with everything they want to accomplish, playing as if, we could suffer another unfortunate injury. You can't bank on that, obviously cross that bridge when you come to it, but it's not going to let Florida alter their mentality going into Nashville.
Graham, as we begin to wrap up, and look, this is probably just me way overthinking this. I know every Gator fan wants the number 1 seed, right? There's some prestige about having a number 1 next to your name on Selection Sunday. To me, 1 seed, 2 seed, I don't think it really matters all that much. But the interesting thing here is that if Florida was a 1 seed in the West, that's where they would be, right? Which would mean a lot of travel, considering if you're a 2 seed in the East or the South, you may actually be closer to Gainesville. Am I just overthinking that?
No, it's worthwhile to think about. I think that it wouldn't matter until you get into the second weekend of the tournament. If you're in the West, you could be in, Lexington, Kentucky, or Cleveland, Ohio, or Raleigh, North Carolina, and that's not too far for Florida fans to travel. And, to use the Florida catchphrase, for them, the Gator Nation is everywhere. Florida's going to have to travel regardless of where they are in the NCAA tournament. And there's not really many great host sites in the South. You don't have Tampa this year, Atlanta. It'd be great for Florida fans to be able to see this team close by to where they live. But the West region will certainly offer a few host sites. And then once you get out there, there's going to be a ton of teams that are playing far away from home. And you really can't use that as an excuse because everyone's going to be on a neutral floor. But in terms of travel sake, I could understand the argument that they wish it'd be a little bit closer.
Final moment, final question. You're going to be up in Nashville, like with Lenardi on ESPN, bracketology. I think he has 13 SEC teams in the field right now, which is insanity. That would statistically be the best year percentage-wise for any conference in the history of college basketball to get that many teams into the NCAA tournament. I think the Big East has the mark from the early 90s as the record right now. So the tournament's going to be wild. And normally, Graham, the conference tournament doesn't necessarily affect number 1 seeds. It probably will this year, with Tennessee, Alabama, and Florida all competing for that last number 1. Whoever, I guess, goes the farthest in Nashville is likely to get it, correct?
I think that's how it should be. I've said to people recently that I don't think the committee spends as much attention watching to how the final couple games of a conference tournament play out, especially if you're a team that has already locked it up. I mean, go back to last year with what happened with Auburn. They should have been a number 1 seed in my mind after winning the conference tournament. I just don't think it affects you too much. If anything, it can hinder you. Like we said with Florida last year, suffering an injury, I certainly think that they were knocked. Even though they make the run all the way to the SEC championship game, they were still, an 8 seed? So I do think that it has the potential to hinder you a little bit more. But I'm with you. I think whichever one of those three teams wins the SEC championship, whether it's Tennessee, Alabama, or Florida, I think that they've only bolstered their case to be a number 1 seed. And I would like to see whichever one of those teams actually wins the thing, if it's one of those three, be rewarded with a number 1 seed. I think that would actually give some validity to the notion that the conference championship and the tournament does matter more than I think a lot of people believe it does right now.
Graham, tell the Gator fans over here in Jacksonville, Swamp 247, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, the coverage you guys will have up in Nashville beginning later this week.
Yeah, I'll be up there Friday. I'll be at Florida's game on Friday. I'll be there as long as they're going to be there. So we'll have plenty of coverage, recaps, takeaways, a feature right before the game takes place, just recapping everything that the team has done. So follow me at Graham Hall on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Swamp 247 is the site to read all the work. And I'm looking forward to being up in Nashville and providing great coverage of this team.
Graham Hall, 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247. Graham, appreciate it, man. Safe travels to Nashville. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Ryan. The pleasure's always mine.
It's Jacksonville's annual March meeting place.
Fascinating people.
1010XL is your radio home for the Players Championship with live Southeast Orthopedic Specialist leaderboard updates.
From Heroes Lawn Care, Taco Lou, and TopDressing.com.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Open early and open late. Dailies is always there, making things easy for you to cruise in and cruise out. So hit Dailies Cold Case the next time you're craving a cold one. Bud Light by the case. Plus plenty of singles to choose from. Corona to the King of Beers to Stella or a Natty. They're all cold at Dailies.
Gun charges, drug charges. I'm Attorney Malcolm Anthony, and I specialize in handling these types of felony cases. Stay out of trouble. But if you don't, call me at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW.
Call 904-500-COOL. Ideal Conditions.
Ideal Conditions Heating and Air Conditioning is your go-to for all AC repairs and replacements. Just gas your AC. For exceptional service, call 904-500-COOL or visit idealconditionsjacks.com to schedule your estimate today.
Call 904-500-COOL.
Honk if you see us. Call for service.
Ideal Conditions.
Idealconditionsjacks.com.
Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists congratulating our Scholar Athlete of the Week, Amelia Tucker, senior varsity track and field and soccer player at Wilson High. Amelia is involved with student government and is a member of the National Honor Society. Congratulations, Amelia.
This is head coach Matthew Driscoll from the UNF men's basketball team. When our players suffer an orthopedic injury, Southeast Orthopedic Specialists gets our players back on the court pain-free.
We appreciate the endorsements from our high school and college coaches. This is Dr. Kevin Murphy. The next time you need orthopedic care, you can rely on our team at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Tired of a plain and boring backyard? Stonecore on Phillips Highway is your one-stop choice to beautify your home. With pavers, stonework, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces, pergolas, and driveways. Visit stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging in the mirror? Fine lines, sun damage, redness? They don't have to be part of your future. I'm Dr. Mark Capel, a board-certified dermatologist, and I can help you look and feel your best without invasive surgery or painful treatments. Imagine rejuvenating your skin in a relaxing, comfortable environment with minimal to no downtime. Smooth out fine lines, even skin tone, and restore that youthful glow. Find out how to look and feel your best at dermagnify.com. Dermagnify.com.
Spring is in the air. Time to wake up your lawn with Heroes Lawn Care. Say goodbye to pesky mosquitoes with their organic and spray treatments. Perfect for outdoor fun. Keep your lawn clean and fresh with their pet waste removal for homes and businesses. Heroes Lawn Care takes care of it all. From mowing, edging, fertilizer, to irrigation, and much more. Visit heroeslawncare.com.
Are you thinking about a pool for your home? Blue Haven Pools is Jacksonville's largest pool builder. They've built pools for over 20,000 satisfied families since 2000. It's never been easier to design the perfect pool for your home, family, and budget. Call Blue Haven Pools today at 904-620-0090 to get a free in-home estimate for your in-ground pool, or visit bluehaven.com. Don't let another summer pass by without a pool. Join thousands of happy Jacksonville pool owners in a Blue Haven pool.
Jags fans, here's your chance to score a trip to Green Bay for round 1 of draft night. Through the Everbank Draft Night Experience Sweepstakes, one lucky winner and a guest will be there live and in person to see the Jaguars make their first pick. To enter, visit everbank.com/draft by April 4th. That's everbank.com/draft. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents of the United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry period from 3/3/25 to 4/4/25. For official rules, prize description, odds of winning, and other details, visit everbank.com/draft. Sponsored and administrator, Everbank N.A.
Looking for adventure? Need a machine that works as hard as you do? CF Moto has you covered. At Ride Now Beach Boulevard, we've got CF Moto ATVs and UTVs built for any task, any trail, anytime. Tear up the dirt with the trail-tested C-Force ATV lineup or conquer through terrain with a Z-Force UTV. Find your CF Moto ride today at Ride Now Beach Boulevard or visit ridenowbeachboulevard.com. ATVs and UTVs are for riders 16 and older. They can be hazardous to operate. CF Moto recommends an improved safety training course.
Hey folks, Hicken here for Zero Res. You're going to want to beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get one room Zero Resified starting at $53. Hey, and take $100 off your air duct cleaning. Don't forget about your air ducts. Your air ducts sort of like the lungs of your home. If they're dirty, your indoor air quality suffers. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com. Tell them Dan or 1010XL sent you. Spell it forwards or backwards. Zero Res. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us, and it has arrived. We are, less than 12 hours away now from the players teeing off down at TPC Sawgrass. Let's talk to a man that's seen a little bit of golf in his day. In fact, this players will be the 40th players that Gary Smits has covered. Smitter's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Gary, how we doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, Hack. Doing very well. It's blue skies, sun shining. You know, the weather here is going to be great until possibly Sunday. And so kind of hope for the best on that they dodge it. But it's otherwise it looks like it's going to be a great week weather-wise.
Well, look, and we'll talk about this year's tournament in a moment, but I saw the story about you in the Times-Union. 40 players for you. As you've gotten out there this week, have you kind of taken time to think about that? I mean, that is an incredible accomplishment.
Well, to be honest, we get out here and, you know, with our pretty good team that we have here at the Times-Union, which has gotten smaller over the years. You know, we used to have a small army. You know, our good friends of ours and 1010XL, you know, Matt Hayes covered some players, John Osher, Hayes Carline, Matty Hayes, you know, they all were out here at one time or another helping me out. And I kind of miss having those guys. But, you know, right now it's me, Gene, and Clayton. And but we're hanging in there. Sometimes you get too busy that you do kind of forget to stop and walk around. But, you know, I try to take some moments for myself, go to maybe some hot spots in the course where aren't as crowded as maybe that 16, 17, 18 corridor, you know, maybe around the 6th hole, you go around 15, which is a great hole, and just kind of think about it and everything. You know, sometimes you don't want to think about it too long because then that makes you realize how old you are. Because 40 of anything means guess you've been on the earth, at least that number of years, right? But, my first one was the last one at the Sawgrass Country Club, 1981. One Hall of Famer beat another Hall of Famer in a playoff. Ray Floyd beat Curtis Strange. And Curtis was a rookie on the PGA Tour at the time. And, everybody thought he was had a potential to be the next Jack Nicklaus, which was the curse back then. Now the curse is who's the next Tiger Woods. And, of course, Scotty Scheffler is doing his level best to live up to that. And then the next year, 1982, we move over here, and I was telling Commissioner Jay Monahan a little bit ago about standing. They didn't have the hospitality or that corporate area on the hill between 9 and 18, and you could just walk up the hill on 9 and stand there and see everything you needed to see on 18. And I still remember Jerry Pate throwing Commissioner Dean Beeman and architect Pete Dye into the water and then jumping in after him. And I thought to myself, that was only the second golf tournament I'd ever covered. And I thought to myself, wow, it gets pretty crazy on the PGA Tour. Do they do this all the time? Throw each other in the water.
Yeah, no doubt about that. 40 years for Smitter at the Players. I certainly want to ask you some secret spots that you'll recommend for people to go out and watch the tournament beginning tomorrow. The big question, Gary, obviously, is Scotty Scheffler, man. You mentioned him earlier. He's back-to-back champion, going for a three-peat. That would be absolutely unprecedented, right? I mean, what are your realistic expectations for Scheffler this week?
Well, nobody thought it was realistic that he won 2 in a row because it had never been done until the 50th Players Championship last year. And, it's really hard to do because, one thing, there's no pretenders in this tournament. There are no Monday qualifiers. There are no older players that are no longer relevant that still get a sponsor invitation. In the Masters, you got the past champions who can play until they're about 65. You got some amateurs in there. But 1 through 144 are all pros, PGA Tour players, or they've been on the top 50 in the world golf rankings. They were in the top 125 on the points list the year before, or they've won tournaments or majors in the past year, PGA Tour events, majors in the past 5 years. So everybody here has played really good golf very recently. So they're either at or near the peak of their game. And when you throw one guy against 143 guys like that, that's pretty tough to do once. Really tough to do twice. I think it's unfathomable to do it 3 times in a row. But Scotty keeps redefining what's possible. I mean, look, this is a guy who spent like 4 hours in a jail cell, had gotten no sleep, got out, and he shot a 67 in a major at the PGA last year. So, he's very humble. He's a very quiet guy, but I think he keeps a lot of this stuff inside. But I think if people doubt him, that's when he gets motivated. Now, he will never come up and say, he'll never play that lack of respect card. He'll never say, well, nobody said it could be done twice in a row, so that's what motivated me. I think he internalizes a lot of that stuff. And he's had some solid performances so far this year. He got a late start because he cut his hand really badly on Christmas Day. And he did not play a couple of events that he had planned on. But he's had 4 top 25s, a couple of top 10s. He tied for 11th last week at Bay Hill. So he's not coming in here with a lot of momentum, but, he's still playing pretty solid golf. And I'm not going to doubt that he can do it. I'm just going to say it's highly unlikely, but we sat here this time last year and said it's highly unlikely somebody's going to win 2 in a row.
Gary Smits of the Florida Times-Union. Gary, Rory McIlroy has never had, I shouldn't say never, but it's been few and far between the success here at the Players. It's kind of a love-hate relationship I'm sure he has with Sawgrass. What are your expectations for Rory this week?
Well, you're right about his record here. He missed his first 3 or 4 cuts, and then he ran off 3 top 10s in a row when it was in May. We come over here to March back, and he won the first one on the return to March in 2019. And then since then, he's missed a cut or 2. He's a tie for 45th here, and so he hasn't played exceptionally well here. And he hasn't played much this year. He played on the one on the European Tour early. He's played 2 on the PGA Tour. He did win at Pebble Beach, and he's been, and he said that he's trying to devote more practice time. He kind of forsook some of that stuff he was doing for the tour, as far as being on the policy board and trying to help be part of the team to somehow bring the tour and live together. And he's kind of working, he's practicing more. He's working more on his game. So I'd look for him to have a pretty good week, but it starts with him keeping the ball in the fairway. He's driving it very long. He did that at Pebble Beach. The driving distance does not give you as much of an advantage here as at other tour events, because a lot of the fairways kind of pinch down in a certain area, and all you need to do is get to those particular spots on the fairway. And some guys can get there with drivers, some guys can get there with a 3-iron. Wyndham Clark last year, when his first 2 rounds, when he went 65-65, hit iron off the tee on 18, but he's long enough to do that. So with Rory, it all starts with driving. If he's got confidence in his driver, he's going to have confidence with everything else. But he's got to hit some fairways.
I would think those are the 2 biggest stories coming in, Scheffler and Rory. If it's not those 2, Gary, who are some of the other guys people should have their eye on this week?
I think absolutely they should have their eye on Ludwig Aberg. He's the kid from Texas Tech, got his tour card by finishing first on the PGA Tour University rankings, which is a new system that is kind of given the really good college players another avenue to get to the PGA Tour. He got his card in June of 2023. He won on the European Tour. He got enough points to be a captain's pick in the Ryder Cup. He went 3-1-1 in the Ryder Cup, including him and Victor Hovland beating Scotty Scheffler and Brooks Koepka like 9 and 8. And then he comes back to the PGA, to America, and won up at Sea Island, shooting 61-61 on the weekend. So that got him an exemption into last year's players. And all he did last year in his first trip around the stadium course was finish 8th, and he shot 367s, had a speed bump there in the second round. But he seems to be the type of guy whose game translates to any golf course. He's pretty long, not the longest. He's pretty accurate, not the straightest, but and he's a pretty good putter. That's the thing. He does everything. He can have his B game in every category, and that can win for you out here. And when he's got his A game in a lot, he can do what he did at Sea Island. He shot 61-61 on the weekend. And so I'd really look out for him. And then the other guy that, if you're looking for a dark horse, I would take one of the Georgia Bulldogs that has played well this year. We've already had 3 guys from Georgia. The University of Georgia had a Chris Hacks, Hack with 2 A's, by the way. Chris Hack up at Georgia. Harris English, Sepp Straka, and then last week at Bay Hill, Russell Henley. And they've been playing very, very well. This guy's coached like 12 PGA Tour winners, including Major Jameson's Bubba Watson and Brian Harmon. And and all of them have been playing pretty good this week. Harris English early in his career had a good first couple of days at the Players, and then on the first hole on Saturday, he was in the final group. I'll never forget this. He hooked it real bad, hit a volunteer. The guy was a bleeder. He was like a British heavyweight. The poor guy. He was okay, but man, that was a lot. And it just unsettled him. He shot 80 that day, but he's won 5 times since then. He won under very difficult circumstances, weather-wise, course-wise, in the Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines, and I think that might be Harris English, Sepp Straka played very well. I'd look at one of those guys.
Gary, quickly, we got about 2 minutes. I got to ask you though, the reaction out there about Tiger Woods, the announcement, the ruptured Achilles. I mean, that's brutal, correct?
Yeah, and I was talking to one of the doctors who volunteers out here, who's an orthopedic doctor. If a player gets a bad back or something like that, they got somebody to turn to. And, he told me, that he thinks the standard thing for a ruptured Achilles is 4 to 6 months. He thinks it'll be more like 9 because Tiger is 49 years old. And he said even if he's in good physical condition, which Tiger is, 49 is still 49. So that takes him out of the mix. Even the 4 to 6 months window looks like it takes him out of the mix for all the majors this year. So the next time we may see Tiger Woods on a golf course, he turns 50 years old in December.
Mm-hmm.
So now the issue is, how much Champions Tour will he play? I hear different things. Sometimes I hear that he might not play any. Sometimes I hear he's going to play the Champions Majors. Then somebody told me that he likes the idea of riding the cart. He doesn't think it's going to carry as much of a stigma as it would on a PGA Tour, which you can use a cart on a PGA Tour. You can apply for a disability exemption to that. But really nobody really does. And, hey, it's theoretical that we could see Tiger Woods at the Furyk and Friends tournament in 2026. Who knows? But we're not going to see him this year. That much we know.
Yeah, the announcement of the ruptured Achilles. All right, not many people on planet Earth know that course better than Gary Smits. Gary, for the people listening tonight, everybody knows about 17 and the viewing there, obviously. But give them maybe a secret or two that you're willing to share. Where would Gary Smits go tomorrow, Friday, into the weekend that might not be as crowded, that's still a great spot to watch the tournament?
Go to number 4, get behind the green, and if there's not a really big crowd, they let you sit on the bulkhead and kind of dangle your feet. You can't reach the water, but you can do that. And a lot of kids will do that, and I like the fact that they don't get all that, uptight about that. So watch them approach us into 4, which there's a lot of eagle 2s at the 4th hole because of that sloping green. Then I maybe zip over to the 6th tee. They replanted a tree that's kind of like even with the forward tee on that. And there's already been a couple of guys who have hit that tee in practice rounds or hit that tree off the tee in practice rounds. So maybe go up there and see how they're dealing with that. Then if you're talking over the backside, a place that's not 16, 17, 18, I really like they've cleared out an area behind to the right of 10 green where you can actually watch players on 10 green. And then you've got a view that you've never had before, the 11th tee on the par 5. And it's very, very scenic. They built a new fan area over there. I would go over there and check that out. And then maybe go behind 12 green, which is a drivable par 4, and see how many guys get there in one.
40 years of covering the players. That is an amazing accomplishment. Gary Smits of the Times-Union. We lovingly call him Smitter. Smitter, congratulations on 40 years, and we'll be watching and listening and reading you this week out there covering the tournament. Thank you, my friend.
Well, thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
And thank you to my buddy Gary Smits of the Florida Times-Union for joining us tonight here on Hacker After Dark. And again, a big congratulations to Gary, his 40th players. That guy is a fountain of knowledge when it comes to golf, and certainly when it comes to the players. And some of those places he gave you to go watch the golf tomorrow through the weekend, I would listen to him. There's not a lot of people on planet Earth that know the stadium course as well as Gary Smits. So we certainly appreciate Gary taking time out for us tonight. Of course, the players gets underway tomorrow. Heck, they'll be teeing off here in, like 10 hours, pretty much. So we'll see what happens. Can Scotty Scheffler win his 3rd in a row? That's a wild thing to even entertain, but it was wild to think that he could go back-to-back, and he did that. So we will certainly see what happens. We did spend a lot of time on the players tonight, but we certainly spent a lot of time as well on the Jacksonville Jaguars and what they've done so far this offseason, being the most active team in free agency to this point. And college basketball begins taking center stage. The SEC tournament is underway. Florida will tip off Friday night at 7 o'clock in the quarterfinals. So it is a busy, busy time of year in the world of sports. That will just about do it. It has been a very busy Wednesday night here on Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, Gary Smits of the Florida Times-Union. Thank you to Graham Hall, 24/7 Sports, Swamp 247, for stopping by, talking Florida basketball with us and previewing the SEC tournament. Again, Florida will play on Friday night at 7 o'clock. And it does appear that Florida Alabama and Tennessee are all competing for that final number one spot in the NCAA tournament, that final number one seed. Will it be as simple as, of those three teams, the Vols, the Crimson Tide, and the Gators, whoever goes the furthest in Nashville, will they get that spot? We'll ultimately see. But Florida tips off their SEC tournament a little under 48 hours from now. And back in hour number one, my buddy Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites on social media. Always enjoy talking with Chad as we reviewed every free agent the Jaguars have brought in, all 9 of them. We did a deep dive into all 9 guys that are coming to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, we will be back tomorrow night on a Thursday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. And again, Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Wednesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark, on 1010XL, and on 92.5 FM.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
It's National Hooky Day, the first day